Well, a new law has taken effect in Texas that will severely limit women's access to abortions. The state has made it illegal to terminate a pregnancy after about 6 weeks. Private citizens are also allowed to sue abortion providers or anyone who helps facilitate the medical procedure. Let's go to Washington right now. Megan Fitzpatrick looking at this story for us today. So how exactly would this new law work, Megan?
Well, it does require doctors to check for a fetal heartbeat, and if one is detected, then they're not allowed to provide an abortion. And generally, heartbeats are detected around 6 weeks into pregnancy. Some people don't even know they're pregnant at that time. And the twist with this law, oh, by the way, there's no exceptions to this. No exceptions for rape or incest. An exception can be made for medical emergencies. The twist with this law is, as you mentioned, this suing aspect to it. So this law allows private citizens to sue anyone involved with the abortion. That could be a taxi driver who drove the person to a clinic. It could be someone who helped pay for the procedure, or the doctor and staff at the clinic who performed it. The person who launches the lawsuit doesn't have to have any personal connection to the person they're suing. If they win in court, the person they sued would have to pay them $10,000 plus court fees and attorney fees. So because of the way this law is designed, it's much harder for its opponents to challenge it in court, because essentially it's leaving the enforcement of this law up to private citizens, not the state government. Other states in the United States have recently been trying to enact similar laws, but so far they've been blocked by the courts. But this one in Texas, Michael, has been allowed to go ahead, and opponents of it are fearful that it might be copied in other states.
Now, many people have spoken out against this change. How did they try to block the law? What kind of arguments are they making against it?
Well, the opponents of it, for starters, are arguing that it's unconstitutional, that it violates Roe versus Wade, which is the landmark case here in the United States from the 70s that affirmed a person's right to access abortion. And they laid out the consequences that they feel this law would have on people seeking abortion, saying that it essentially presents insurmountable barriers to getting an abortion, that it would mire clinics in endless lawsuits, that it would force people to perhaps have to travel out of state to get an abortion. That's something some people can't afford to do, or that some people might seek to end their own pregnancies without medical supervision. So the opponents of the law were fighting it ever since it was passed, or even proposed in the legislature. It passed in May. They haven't been successful at lower courts. So earlier this week, they applied to the Supreme Court here in Washington with an emergency application. The Supreme Court didn't weigh in on it yesterday, Michael, which meant that the law went ahead and went into effect today. It's possible the Supreme Court might step in to block it later if they want to, but the fact that they did nothing last night meant that it went ahead. The Supreme Court is going to be hearing a similar case later in its term that's coming from Mississippi. So at some point it's going to make a decision. But as for this Texas law specifically, as it stands now, it's gone into effect today. And that means it's one of the most restrictive laws in this country when it comes to abortion access.
Megan, thank you for that.